learned this today from Sister Lakshmi. Was actually fought and won
by the brothers.
By the brothers.
Mm-hmm.
You see, and won Richmond by the brothers and stuff like that. And so that's very interesting. So that's a part of a history that we, you know, it's interesting how when I first came here about two years ago, it was so spiritual, the energy, and I never would have thought it would have been that way. So it's good to be here. But we're just going to kick it around a little bit, and we're going to be talking about mostly the attack. First thing I want to do to start things off is I want to make this particular thing this very clear. I was talking to Dr. Richard King about a month ago on a phone conversation, and he has a new book out. Him, this is Dr. Ann Brown from New York,
mm-hmm.
and there's a brother named T. Owens Moore.
Okay.
That did a couple of books on melanin. And they got a book together, Why Melanin Matters. And so Richard King was saying about, I think he called it the nucleocerealis. It's a part of the melanin that he says that they've done studies, and this particular part of the melanin deals with fear.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that Hollywood and the government knows this. And this is the reason why they've been killing us off in movies since the 1950s. They was killing us off in movies when they didn't even have blacks in movies.
Mm-hmm.
And remember the guy that, your boy, the Sweetback Badass song, what's it, Melvin Van Peebles said that when they first showed his movie, I think it was in Chicago or something, and they aired it, and he said it was a, and you know, because this was the prototype of what which would later become the black exploitation flicks.
Mm-hmm.
But he said when when they showed the movie that first night in Chicago to see how the black audience would take it,
mm-hmm.
he said it was an older woman in the crowd sitting near the front, and the older woman said, "Oh Lord," when he was running, I think he was running from the cops or running from, you know, running. He did a lot of running in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And the older woman said, "Oh Lord, please don't kill him." Because up to then, she had been seeing a couple of black people getting killed in movies. Even Sidney Poitier got killed in a movie where a guy stabbed him in the back with a fishing hook in the 1950s, a black and white movie.
Okay.
And the point what I'm trying to make here is we got to put a stop to, well, I know it's not going to happen, but we need to choose not to watch movies where we die all the time. Because, like Richard King is saying, if the melanin is affected by the fear, then that stuff is going into our psyche and into our melanated brain. Now, let me give you an example now, because like I said, in the first when I saw Enter the Dragon, and I knew this was a Enter the Dragon, and it came out later. Enter the Dragon came out fall '73, and I thought it affected me because I was a little younger when the movie came out.
Mm-hmm.
But I saw the movie again when I was 30.
Okay.
And I still was affected by the killing of Jim Kelly. Not only did they kill him, they put the brother's death on the movie poster, and that movie poster is shown to this day when you pick up the video or the DVD.
Mm-hmm.
The point I'm trying to make here is these things are attacks. An attack a lot of times don't necessarily have to be the tanks rolling down the street. An attack can be psychological. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It can be psychological. Let me give you another example. How I was affected the same way in 1990 when Spike Lee came out with Mo Better Blues.
Mm-hmm.
I love the character. I love Denzel's character. I love the jazz artist. I was glad that they put a film together about jazz artists because we've been rich in history with that. Mm-hmm. I like the whole crew. I like the whole setup. But whenever he made the decision for the guy to take the horn and hit him in the face and destroy his and mess his lip up,
right,
and destroy his career, the next morning I woke up and I saw the movie. I was affected by it and stuff. I said, you know what? I didn't like that. I didn't like that. And I said, we shouldn't take these blueprints from Europeans who love to see that kind of tragedy. Because we got to understand something here. These are our heroes.
Right. And
our heroes are heroes should have, you see, they shouldn't be damaged on that particular level, and especially when the European is doing it to us. Like I said, every sci-fi movie, you know what I'm saying, and every time we look up, they cast black members in these movies to get killed. You see, and so my point here is, we gotta choose now to stop going to these movies. You see what I'm saying? Where they getting killed. The other thing here is this whole gotta wear the dress. The black actor got to somehow wear the dress. Now,
or play some kind of feminine role, or
now,
some feminine character.
Exactly. Now, give me an example.
Tyler Perry.
And this ain't got nothing to do with no gay community, because I'm gonna tell you something. The white gay community is in on it too, because hell, that's all doggone Hollywood is. It's white gay community. But whenever they want to, see, it's interesting how they do things. Whenever they want to push the envelope, they'll get a black person to do it. So soon as Dennis Rodman put on the dress, he got a TV show.
Right.
Back in the 90s. And soon as we knew about a RuPaul, next thing you know, this brother got his TV show. And we got several people can't get a TV show. We got the black woman that's forced out of Hollywood now. You see what I'm saying? They got the TV show. Now let me give you an example of what happened here. As we know that Dave Chappelle came on Oprah, and he talked about how he had heard this conspiracy on how they had to wear the dress, and how he went on a movie set with Martin Lawrence, and he was appearing in a movie with Martin Lawrence, and he got in his trailer and they had a dress hanging up. And he said, you know, why I got to wear this dress? He said, I've heard about these stories about, you know, why I got, you know, about the black actors. In order to cement your place in Hollywood, you got to do something, either something derogatory or something about getting killed. You wear the dress and basically getting shot in the behind. That's the other one. But he said, why I got to wear the dress? So he said, I'm not wearing it. And the director said, no, you got to do this and all. We paid a lot of money for the scene, blah, blah, blah. He said, I'm not. He said, it went on about 15 minutes. He said, and then the producer came in and they went on. He said, I ain't wearing the dress. He said, in 15 minutes, they walked out and came back 15 minutes later with another script. It was almost like they said they had a script that was written already where you didn't have to wear the dress, but they put this in here, you see what I'm saying? As a thing that they do to black people.
Right.
Because a lot of time when they make these movies, a lot of times these movies are written for white people, and then they figure based on the demographics they can make more money by getting that black element in, because they figure it will fail and go to video with some white if it's not strong enough for the white artist. So they put the black people in, and it's $1 million movie.
Right.
I mean, a million people sell make up so many millions on the first weekend. You see what I'm saying? Now, the key here is, I got a call from a brother Shabazz in New York 2 or 3 days after it aired on Oprah. Anubaresh. And he told me, he said, remember, we had did a lecture in New York. I had done a lecture in Brooklyn in the summer of 2003 at a place called the Brown Chocolate Cafe. I said, I remember the lecture. He said, remember we invited all the rappers, and they was coming to the lecture because he's good friends with all these rappers, RZA, I think Nas was coming, and a bunch of them. Even Dougie Fresh.
Right.
And he said they was coming, but somebody missed and put that the rappers was going to show up on the flyer. And he said, then they called and said, yo, we can't do this. We can't come now because, you know, our agents, you know, they look out and they find out that they tell us that we can't go to certain events. So they put a dent in that since that conscious rap. And it's interesting here because I'm talking to a sister named Capita recently, and she was saying that yes, she was in the music industry, and she said she know rap. She said not only that, they have to report in like parole officers. If they get a big contract, they got to report in like reporting into a parole officer and tell them what functions they go into and whether these whereabouts are suitable for the music industry or the company. So anyway, they didn't come, but they got the tape. He said that the tape that I gave them was about you speaking about how the actors got to wear the dress or get shot in the behind. He said, and by Dave Chappelle being big friends with the whole rap scene, they gave the tape to Dave Chappelle. So when he said on Oprah about, I heard about to have to do the dress, he said, the brother Shabazz said, it was based on the lecture that I had done in New York in 2003. Mm-hmm. The thing about it here is, not only do you have to wear the dress, Ving Rhames had to wear the dress, Wesley Snipes had to wear the dress, mm-hmm. Chris Tucker wore a little flimsy feminine outfit on Fifth Element. Martin Lawrence has to wear the dress. Mm-hmm. Will Smith wore the dress. Mm-hmm. Just about, all of them wore the dresses. It's interesting here. One guy he was a faggot in Life, and then he did the Joanna Man or Vagina Man or whatever that thing was, that movie. Right. And then there was he wore the dress, and then not only that, one of the brothers, I can't think of the brother name, he was from the 70s, he was an actor, and he was on Steve Harvey in the last couple of years, and he used to be on Good Times. I can't think of the guy's name, but he wore a dress in 1987. So they always had this thing with, and this thing started with Flip Wilson, because we asked this question, how did Flip Wilson get a show in the 1970s? Mm-hmm, playing Geraldine. Geraldine in 1971 was the whole Geraldine thing. So we got a history of this. Mm-hmm. The other thing here is getting shot in the behind. So Denzel won the Academy Award because he got shot in the behind, and then after he got shot in the behind, they killed him. Mm-hmm. Not only did he get murdered in Malcolm X, which was a historical thing, so we needed to see that, but almost 10 years later, he gets killed execution style after getting shot in the behind. Mm-hmm. So see, we would think that that's just one movie, but Martin Lawrence got shot in the behind in Bad Boys too. Mm-hmm. And this is when the conspiracy come in, because the veteran actor Fred Williamson says that I never get killed in a movie and I always go home with the woman. Mm-hmm. Which is right. That's exactly what John Wayne does, Clint Eastwood does, mm-hmm. and James Bond. You always go home with the woman, because that cements your maleness. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? Always go home with the woman, and I never die in a movie. So when he got up on the set for Starsky and Hutch, the new Starsky and Hutch in 2003, or 2002 when they was making it, because it came out in 2003, he said, they told him, yo, he's supposed to be the boss of Starsky and Hutch, the boss that chews out the reckless cops. He said they told him, yo, you got to get shot in the behind. He said, I ain't getting shot in no behind. Fred Williamson, veteran actor. Mm-hmm. He said, no, I'm not doing it. Mm-hmm. He said, I'm not doing it. He said, I put my children through school. I don't need it. So then they came back, just like they did with Dave Chappelle. They came back a few minutes later with another script. Mm-hmm. Already ready. Already ready. You see, this is a ritual of an attack. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. That they do on us. We got to understand the attack is coming from multiple levels. But now we know that it's a direct attack on melanin. Mm-hmm. To dehumanize you and to put you at a subordinate position. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? But in other words, when it comes to the male, to effeminize him. Right. You see what I'm saying? The other thing I want to say is too now, there's nothing wrong with fat black women. Oh, no question. You see what I'm saying? She's the only a person in the race can get accepted and get many men. You see what I'm saying? We say she's fat, but she got a cute face. Mm-hmm. But, and some of them got pretty feet. Pretty feet, and some of them are real sexy. Right. A lot of them are sexy. But that's not the point here now, but you got to understand. We're not talking about Hollywood versus fat. Right. What we're talking about here is a system and a ritual. Now, let me give you an example. And a stereotype. Stereotype. Mm-hmm. Now, we know in the 1990s they had tons of black women in the movies. Angela Bassett, mm-hmm. Leela Rashawn. Mm-hmm. They had one of the girls that played Girl 6. Can't think of that girl's name. Girls that played with Spike Lee. Teresa Randall. Mm-hmm. Next thing you know, she's gone. Mm-hmm. They had a bunch of them. Now, that's good. And then you can put the heavy-set sisters in there. But it's one thing when Hollywood says, no more. The only people that's going to get the jobs is the heavy-set sisters. So all of a sudden, no acting Queen Latifah becomes the standard, and Monique. Mm-hmm. Pulling out movies. Mm-hmm. And the point I'm trying to make here is, and I'm not trying to push them aside, but what I'm trying to say here is something when those are the only ones that can get roles, because we're talking about a ritual that goes all the way back to Hattie McDaniel, who was the first person to win, first black person to win the Academy Award. Mm-hmm. You got to understand how this thing goes here. And the reason why it is imperative that they don't show the black woman's sexuality in the standard of what that equals the white woman. And something based on the melanin now, psychologically, these images, there's a reason. Remember I just started out saying there's a standard of beauty that you got to get to. And even if you're fat, you got to be beautiful, because I've seen Queen Latifah turn into a fox on the last couple of movies. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? But the point I'm trying to make here is, when it comes to the standard of beauty, which is in Hollywood, mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? Against the Julia Roberts, against the, you see what I'm saying? All these Charlize Theron,
Jodie Foster,
all these particular people, there's a standard of beauty. They're saying that the black woman cannot equal that. Mm-hmm. You see, and you got to understand this stuff because it's a warfare going on. You understand what I'm saying? And this warfare has devastated the black community for the simple fact that that's why your man don't choose you now, because he's psychologically getting some stuff from images from Hollywood, and you're not a part of that lineup. Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. You're not a part of that lineup, and that's why they put the fat woman, and they got the little show Girlfriends, and these are beautiful black women, but it's on UPN, which is a station that really nobody really watched. It was one of those black stations. Basically, UPN tried to come out, because the UPN and Warner Brothers came out at the same time. Warner Brothers said that we're going to another level, and the first thing they do, they use the black people to fund, when they first come out, and people and the public is not used to them. They put a lot of black shows on because they know that they can get the ratings and they can get the money or whatever, until the actual station or the actual company is secure and fortified. Then what they do is they start weeding out the black shows and getting white shows. Now UPN is getting ready to join with Warner Brothers. They're coming together and merging together as one company. But the thing about it here is Warner Brothers has already become lily white. And so you had the little Girlfriends thing where you see the cute black girls on there, but it was UPN, and that was not considered a mainstream. As far as it, although it was national, it wasn't on the same level as the ABC, NBC, CBS, mm-hmm. and in cable, HBO or whatever. So my point here is we got to look at these things here on the image. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? What is still going on here? Mm-hmm. Because this is also a psychological attack, and now is what Richard King and them saying, it affects the melanin. Why not? Now let's look at this, because now we doing different studies on East India, based on the god Ganesha, or Ganesh. Ganesh is an elephant, and anybody know they say the elephant's memory is impeccable. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It never forgets. Well, in so many words, before we messed up on drugs, or we messed up on certain just bad self-esteem and this low level of living, we had memories that's impeccable. How do you think the comedians could get up there and be just as sharp and can be things on the tap? They could tap in and be funny and have a repertoire of things that they learned since they was children. They could tap in a moment's notice. You see what I'm saying?
Well, and what back in the day? What about the number man? The number man.
That's a form of melanin. That's a part of what they call a cosmic computer. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. That's the cosmic computer.
Records.
Right. So the cosmic records. Right. Akash means black. Right. Silakash, black substance. Right. The point I'm trying to make here is, if they understand that our psychological aspect of melanin is we get some stuff that's up in it and it affects us forever, based on images we see, then it's key that they still keep these images going on. Mm-hmm. And so the point I'm trying to make here is we got to stop. Hollywood gonna be Hollywood, and black people gonna sell out because they want the money. But you can either teach your children, or you can choose not to watch certain things. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. To not be affected. Sometimes like Black Stars. I rarely watch Black Stars because I know 90% of the material that's gonna be on Black Stars. You see what I'm saying? is gonna make me mad. It's gonna upset me, and I'll be like, look, I ain't got time for that. I live in a nightmare every day just looking outside of my window in the black community. Why I want to come and see some bullshit on TV like this?
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? And let me give you an example of some other things based on the stereotypes. We went to go see a movie, Silent Hill. White folks is into all kinds of things. They're dealing with death. They're dealing with the underworld. They're dealing with the afterlife. They're dealing with all kinds of sci-fi. They're dealing with all kinds of alternative living on a whole nother level. They got all these types of movies. You see what I'm saying? They becoming the hero. I saw a movie. It was a movie based on whether they was going to give money to Africa and raise Africa up. And raise Africa up. And they're doing all this kind of stuff. And I went to see this Silent Hill movie, which was a good movie. Good horror movie, because there's a lot of stuff in there. And during the previews, they got all these different advanced horror movies coming up, and the advanced sci-fi, and advanced this. And in the middle of that, they show a preview of a black movie where they're playing basketball. I'm like, how many? Come on now. If this is not by design, you got millions of dollars going to make these movies, the ones and especially the ones that actually get to go to the actual theater, because there's thousands that come out that go straight to video. And you mean to tell me this is coming to the theater and this thing here is a basketball movie? Well, it's street ball. I mean, come on, man. My point here is, how stereotypical can you get? How, you know what I'm saying? It's almost like someone is deliberately keeping the people at a certain level
of consciousness.
That's the social engineering that we're talking about here.
That's right.
You see what I'm saying? So I just want to put that out there. And the other thing here is, because we talk about the DNA. The other thing here is...
Yeah, I tell you, man, you know, it's funny, man, that you mentioned the DNA, man, because Time did a report called The Solving Mystery of DNA. You know, hey, matter of fact, hold this up for let them see this, man. Show them where they're going with this, because we want people to see what they are saying in this picture here.
It's interesting here because the whole DNA thing here...
I want you to take a look at this, because this is serious. Now, that is a sister. A black woman and a white man. Okay. Okay. They started with this. They did a movie called Nova. Okay. Supernova. Okay. With Angela Bassett. And in the movie, the end result was, I can't think of the other guy's name that was in this thing, James Spader. And the end result is that they two merged together, and he had a blue eye, he had a black eye, a brown eye, and she had a blue eye. As to say that they energies merged together, it's about the black man, the white man, and the black woman. Now it's interesting here because they had a movie that come out here in February called Something New. You see what I'm saying? Called Something New. Can't think of that black actress name. But anyway, in the movie, they got all these black people in the movie, Blair Underwood and all these particular people, and they all surrounded this black girl who's coming together. She's the new hot chick that was in a couple of movies. Can't think of her name right now. But anyway, she's coming together, and the whole thing is something new, as if to say that she hooks up with this white boy. As if to say that you need to try something new. You understand what I'm saying? You need to try something new. The point I'm trying to make here is I'm not really that much interested in going out here trying to encourage people not to marry interracial, not because of the simple fact that I'm some rainbow coalition. I just know that reality, black people gonna do what they gonna do. Right. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm not wasting energy on it. But it is another thing when the government is trying to do something on another level by encouraging the black woman to go out because they know she's already distraught and all messed up because she can't find a certain man or whatever type thing here. So they can play on that vulnerability to push her in the arms of the white man, or either do the cosign saying, okay, white boys, now it's time for you can go and get you this black woman. I ain't gonna be no top-notch white man, but it's gonna be these nerd people. Right. But the problem is that they got money. Exactly. They be wimps, and no white woman would want them. Right. But they got money. But they got money. Now, we noticed something on that magazine. Look what it says in the corner. Look, turn around and look at it. It say Countdown to War. Countdown to War. Now, the war is on the black DNA. Now explain what they mean when they say war on the black DNA.
Well, the whole thing here is this particular thing here is
using the white man.
We're talking about, this is 2003. February 2003. Now this was right before the Iraqi war. Now it's interesting here because not only at this particular time here, about a few weeks after this came out, I think it was Newsweek put out a magazine that had Beyonce, Star Jones was the two stars, and they had two other people in the business industry. These black women, and they're saying how these black women are succeeding far beyond the black man by leaps and bounds, and you know what I'm saying, as far as in business, as far as in economics and stuff, they're leaving the black man behind. Now, it's not by mistake that they put out that Newsweek a couple of weeks after putting out this. You understand what I'm saying? It's not by mistake that they did this, you see, and how during the same time, Ebony magazine put out this thing about how these Jews had opened up a national registrar in Chicago to get black women to come in. This Jewish guy that owns this club, and how they come in and they meet these white guys and date them and marry them or whatever. And they said that they only wanted a couple of hundred to come with the club and sign up with the registrar. And they said that when it came down, it was 40,000.
They had to cut it off.
Yeah, to sign up, and they had to cut it off.
It was so many black women applying to get with these white boys, and the white boys said, we reached our quota.
And this became the template or the catalyst for other clubs and other groups, social clubs around America now, and in Europe, that is now, the new end thing is to get yourself a black woman. You see what I'm saying? So my point here is we're still talking about this DNA. You see, now I'm not necessarily concerned about the outer masses, because I know that they're gonna do what they're gonna do. They're controlled by the government. They are a creation of the government. But what I'm trying to say here is this is to make some sense of the madness of the people that's still into the conscious movement.
Let me ask you a question there for some. Now there are some people, they may not understand what you say creation of the government. Qualify what you mean creation of the government through mind control. Explain that. So some people may not understand when you say people act the way they act as a creation of the government. So qualify that for me.
What I mean by that is basically just as we was bred
in slavery,
to be a certain characteristic, first as farm machinery, and later on as to be some type of entity in America, a servant. You see, just as we was bred, the same people that bred us have technologically kept a system going of breeding that can program us to this day. So we are these creatures. You see what I'm saying? We are these creatures of the American. Let me give an example of what's talking about and see. And I'm not going to necessarily say that it's specifically for black people, because in order to trap black people, they got to have a certain percentile of white folks that get trapped in certain things too. Let me give you an example. And as a result, they can get us. Because we, let me give you an example. There's a sister, named Saudi, a Muslim sister raised from Los Angeles, raised Muslim. I knew her in the 1990s because she used to be good friends with my ex-girlfriend Ginger, and she was raised Muslim. Her father, they raised up in the Nation of Islam. Later on, a lot of those after Elijah Muhammad died became Orthodox Muslims or whatever. Anyway, the father got sick, died of cancer, or died of cancer in the early 1990s. So before he died, he started seeing these visions, which a lot of people, when they get sick, they start seeing visions of the future. So she said that he called him to the bed and he started talking about the visions that he started seeing, and he said he was disturbed about all these people he saw, and black people that he saw, and American people, period, he saw driving around in these huge SUVs, sports utility vehicles. You see what I'm saying? Escalades, Tahoe Expedition, Navigator. Right. And he said, man, what is going on? He said, and stuff. So when she said this, I'm like, well, what is the prophecy? Okay, he saw in the future, and he saw us driving SUVs, but why was he upset about it? Now, the scene shifted because it didn't to fruition on what he would actually be upset about until now. Now, the gas is going to a certain level, is going sky high, you see what I'm saying? And now all these people are trapped with all these big gas guzzlers. You see what I'm saying? So what he was actually upset about back in the early 1990s is he saw the gas thing that was going to happen, and he knew that these people has become dependent on all these big gas guzzlers. So the point I'm trying to make here is, because I'm not off the subject, they can create a certain situation for you down the line by saying, hey, this is what you need to be driving. This is what you need to be wearing. This is what you need to be doing. You see what I'm saying? Well, it's the same thing with this thing. If they're trying to somehow merge with the DNA, and with this black woman, they figure like this. Now, okay, let me give you an example.
She's the key.
She's the key. Let me give you an example on two aspects of this. In Richard Noon's book, Ice, the Ultimate Disaster, he's a big-time master mason out of Georgia. Wrote the book in 1978. And he gave the estimation of certain things that were supposed to happen. As a matter of fact, when he wrote the book in 1978, Ice, the Ultimate Disaster, 5/5/2000. The book is somehow obsolete now, but because May 5th already done came. But 2000, but the book, but it's not obsolete because he gave the actual blueprint and the projection and the forecast for what the Masonic community was going to do in the future, the white Masonic community. He gave the actual forecast. He gave the actual projection of what they was doing. He said the first thing they was going to do is they were going to want to retake Africa. Now, the same time that he was giving this forecast in 1978 about them retaking Africa, the second installment of the Omen, remember Damien Omen, and the second one when he was a little boy. But by this time, I think he was a teenager. Because the third one, when he became president, in one of the classrooms, they're talking about retaking Africa during the same time, on that movie, the same time he was writing the book, Ice, the Ultimate Disaster. The point I'm trying to make is this. I forgot the point, but anyway, no. No. But anyway, they have this projection. Now, one of the things is this. They said this was the point. They said, well, why would they retake Africa? Well, they said in so many words. They said, well, if anything is going to go down in the future that we're not sure about, they said we'll be most safer on the place that has the origin of the world than Europe. So they said Africa will be, the motherland will be our safe haven. That's why we have to go there before the 2000s. You understand what I'm saying? They said that would be, for some reason they think that they would be safe if they went back to Africa. Well, same thing is happening with the black DNA. They think that basically if they can somehow merge with the black woman, this will be the answer, you see what I'm saying, to all their future prayers and for all their troubles and all their worries. You understand where I'm coming from here? So the key here is motherland, mother woman, black woman. You see what I'm saying? So if there's a return to Eden, they literally want to return to Eden. You understand what I'm saying? So it's got a lot to do with that, and it's got a lot to do with the DNA. Nothing is not, and remember now, this is 2003. Remember now, Richard Noon wrote his book in 1978. In 1988, the same Newsweek magazine and Time, Newsweek had the same Jerry Curl version of Adam and Eve, black people on there. Everything is everything. You see what I'm saying? Everything is everything. Let me give you an example here. here's a book, because I want you to get some of your things.
Yeah, but hold on. Let me get it close up, because people need to see these books.
Okay.
You know, okay.
This is the book. They sell it at Borders bookstores.
What's called Armageddon?
It's called Armageddon.
Now.
Armageddon Now. It says the end of the world A to Z.
Hold on, hold it up. Let me see it, please. Yeah. Y'all got to get this book because...
By Jim Willis. Jim Willis and Barbara Willis.
Jim and Barbara Willis.
Now, it's interesting here because not only do they... What he did was, the guy teaches comparative religion in some Ivy League school. And although he's a preacher or whatever, he teaches comparative religion, which is key now. He's not just stuck in some sectarian aspect. And he gives you the Hindu version of the end, the Buddhist version of the end, several Christian, the Egyptian. He even uses Albert Churchward, Alvin Boyd Kuhn, and Gerald Massey, which they don't use. He even puts Gerald Massey in here, but this is one of the keys of what I got the book. I picked it up. But this is why I really got the book, because they're real serious about some things. And it's interesting here because I bought the book when I was good. They even got the movies that came out in the 1990s, like Independence Day and the different ones. But this is why I picked the book up. And when I saw this, I said, I got to get the book. Because I had the book, and I took it off the shelf about a couple of weeks before. And then I picked it up again. And when I saw this particular picture of Marcus Garvey in the book, I said, oh man. Because in so many words, what they're saying is, you know, Marcus Garvey on his deathbed said, look for me in the whirlwind. Mm-hmm. Then we get Katrina. Mm-hmm. And they're saying that this year, whatever Katrina was, they're saying it's going to be 3 times worse.
And also, what they just dropped in the Baltimore Sun, that they expect one to hit Baltimore by June.
And you know, they've been talking about, you know now with HAARP and all that, they've been talking about that thing hitting the East Coast and around Baltimore since October, right after Katrina. Mm-hmm. So you got to look at some things on why they do certain things.
And also on top of that, Bob, and we spoke about this one time before, now you think about it, on the attack. Mm-hmm. Now, you know in Baltimore, because we were the one that broke the exclusive on it about the MK Ultra and the lights.
Yeah.
In Baltimore.
In Baltimore.
And if you go to Baltimore and look at the condition of the people on the street, it is catastrophic. I mean, it is unbelievable.
And you just believe, best believe.
And speaking of the word believe, they got the word believe everywhere you go.
In Baltimore.
And everywhere you go, on every street, every building.
You got to believe.
You got the word believe. Now, what we come to find out is that using the MK Ultra and the light, that works on your subconscious mind, but your conscious mind see the word believe. Yeah. And that's how they got the folks.
You better go get the movie. It's on cable now again. They Live.
They Live.
You got to go get the movie They Live. 1988. What's that? Roddy Piper. Mm-hmm. And Keith David. Mm-hmm. You see, get that movie because that's exactly what's going on. And it's interesting because another thing interesting about Baltimore. They have the Walters Art Museum there, or Walters Art Gallery. And I'm looking at most of the books, and I'm coming up, a lot of my books in my library, I'm looking, and I see profound pictures and stuff, and at the bottom, these pictures are at the Walters Art Museum or the Walters Art Gallery in Baltimore. As a matter of fact, they have one of the pictures of Lakshmi that I've been selling. Mm-hmm. And with the Lakshmi, with the full breast and all that, do you know they got a statue at the Walters Art Museum in Baltimore of Lakshmi that's very ancient.
Really?
Yes. And so the point I'm trying to make here is there's a lot of stuff that's going on, but this is prophecies on Ethiopia, prophecies on in here on the prophecies that Marcus Garvey talked about, and not only that, there's a new station called a documentary channel now. You probably have to you have to ask Comcast or if you got DirecTV to try to get this. I know it's on Dish Satellite. Mm-hmm. Dish Network. It's called a documentary channel. And they're showing documentaries that's been banned by the government for years. Mm. And so they had one that they put out recently on Bob Marley. But they said that this documentary is based on prophecies and philosophies of the Rastafarian movement and Bob Marley's philosophies that was collected by the British government in the 1970s and the early 80s, and they're just putting these things out. The BBC is just putting these things out in the 2000s. And in so many words, Bob Marley, person that Marcus Garvey said, look for a person to be crowned in Africa or whatever, and they mistook it for Haile Selassie. The real Messiah or Messianic person, because there's multiple Messiahs based on the Dead Sea Scrolls. There's a book called The Messiahs of the Dead Sea Scrolls saying there's more than one Messiah.
Right.
That the real Messiah that whole thing was talking about, that everybody put on Haile Selassie, was actually Bob Marley. His music had a greater impact on the world. People got to know of the Rastafarian movement because of what transpired based on the music. And I talked to Africans in West Africa, and they said that a lot of the countries that got decolonized in the early 1980s and throughout the 80s, they said that we got decolonized because of Bob Marley. They said when that music hit, number one, the music had rhythms that was closer to Africa. And they said when that music hit, they said we had revolution on our brains. And I talked to Africans that said this.
And also he promoted that, one love.
Yeah.
One love.
You see, there's a lot of things. So I just want to just put this. So this is a book, to get in stuff, because it's all in line with what we're talking about here.
Well, but also too, man, going back to Baltimore. Now, also in the Baltimore Sun, it also said it was I think the new guy from FEMA, David Paul, some other name is. He made a statement in the pavement and said that they are not going to wait for Katrina to hit or any type of natural disaster to hit Baltimore. They said they get ready to move in Baltimore now. And they put a disclaimer in the paper that people don't have to really fear because the local authorities are going to be in control. Now, Bobby, come on. Now, when FEMA take over, the local authorities are shut down. So, in so many words, what I'm saying, that people in the Baltimore area, which includes myself, in the Maryland area, people need to be watchful. You need to be very, very watchful on your surroundings and what's going on. And also, for those who don't know, Baltimore is also the port of the Moors. So I'm putting a shout out to all the Moorish brothers and sisters. Y'all need to be really awake right about now.
Yeah, we'll get into this Islam thing in a minute.
Right.
But it's interesting about that because talking about this creature and how they can basically design you to do something down the road. And although you thinking it's the environment around you, it can be an outside entity that's agitating and is setting the course for the entire environment. Let me give you an example of what's going on now. We know of MK Ultra, we know of implants, and we know of several things. Now, several things is going on. As far as psychological warfare. In Philadelphia, this what's the date? April 29th, 2006. Since January 1 of 2006, they have had 114 murders. Now that was Thursday when I got the last thing. It was 114 murders. They're having 3 a day, and that's a good day. A bad day. No, that's a good day. That's a day when they didn't kill a lot of people. They're getting at least 3 people dying. So it might be up to 120 now since Thursday. But anyway, they got black men dying. They got more black men dying in Philadelphia than they got people in the Iraqi war or soldiers that they reporting on in the Iraqi war. And that's a war zone.
A day.
A day. They're already up to 114. Let's say this is Saturday. They're probably up to 118.
A day.
118 since January.
Okay.
They're up to about 3 to 4 a day.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? you know, we just 4 months into the new year. You see, going on 5. But my point here is, and this is it. Now, this is interesting. I said, when he told me this, he said, man, they killing each other. The brother Barsisi, one of my comrades, up in Philadelphia. When he told me that, I said, wait a minute, this is something that's being induced. Nothing happens in a vacuum. You see what I'm saying? Like that, something's not natural with these numbers and the way these things occur. So, now I'll give you one of the reasons on how they can do it in a minute. But he said that now here is the New World Order coming. This is the response. Because I said something's being induced. This is being programmed. And then the response came the other week. That the state of New Jersey, because you know Newark is the capital, and Newark is only like, what, 30, 45 minutes from Philadelphia. It's the capital of New Jersey. The state of New Jersey said that they got about a month, Philadelphia has about a month
get it under control.
To get it under control and stop the killing, or otherwise the people from Philadelphia, mainly black people, we talking about profiling here, gonna have to present papers to go into New Jersey. So we talking some real New World Order stuff now. They're setting up checkpoints. And remember now, this is only a catalyst for the whole country.
A test case.
It's a test case. You see what I'm saying? It's a test case. You see, the whole concept of any type of government thing here is based on, they've already declared it terrorists.
Right.
And so one of the whole things in any part of the government is, you know, how they make these laws is based on you got to be safe. Well, my point here is that there's a war going on in Iraq, and yet they got more black men dying in Philadelphia every day. That is equivalent to all of this so-called Patriot Act, Homeland Security, whatever, to take your rights and to cut down on terrorism. You see what I'm saying? So it's interesting here that this is going on. Now, let me give you an example of how you say, well, how does the government, how do the policy makers in D.C. or in Britain declare war on black people, and how can they induce a black person killing themselves in the streets in Philly? Well, let me tell you how it goes. One aspect, there's several. So like I say, MK Ultra, we just saw that happen. That Brian Nichols guy came and shot up the place and everything.
And knew right where to go.
Knew right where to go. Go and get the movie Demolition Man. He knew Demolition Man. He got out. He was froze. They implanted him. He knew right where to go. And guess what? He was programmed to the point that he couldn't kill the white man. The man who programmed him, he couldn't even kill him. In order to kill him, he had to throw the gun to a white man, and the white man killed the guy who programmed him. But isn't it interesting here, because on black crime, we're not programmed to kill white folks.
Right. Exactly.
You see what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And they showed this in the movie Demolition Man. Wesley Snipes, he could kill everybody. He could run them up, but he could not kill the elite. You see what I'm saying? And the guy said, "Don't you have some people to kill? I unfroze your behind so you can kill people." So we know it can happen. Let me give you an example. I was had an affair with a sister from Kansas in 2002 and in 2002 and 2003. So I used to fly to Kansas and go to see this sister, and the sister had a daughter. She said she came home one day and her daughter got this nigga up in the doggone living room, and this guy done killed 7 guys. And I said, wait a minute, hold on. This guy has killed 7 guys. He's been in prison, and yet he's out sitting in your living room, back in the black community. The first thing I told her, I said, that's an assassin. That's an assassin for the United States government or the global elite.
Seven murders now.
He's 7 murders now. He done killed 7 black men, but yet he's out walking around, and they got somebody that got caught with a marijuana.
Or some crack, and they
got life. I know a nigga that got stopped for a traffic ticket in Houston and got 6 years because he was selling some herb, and they couldn't catch him You know, because he was good at what he, so they got him for that. So my point here is this guy done killed 7 black men. He's supposed to be locked up forever.
And a day.
And if he killed 7 white men, he would be a mass murderer.
Mm-hmm. And probably executed by now.
Yes. That would be under the equivalent of a mass murderer. And we haven't had any of them yet.
Mm-hmm.
Let me tell you what happened, so. It's interesting here. He's sitting up in her, and I said, this sitting up in her living room. She said, what this nigga got this nigga up and this nigga done killed 7 people. I said, that's an assassin. They let him out on purpose. Later on that summer, that was in May. Later on that they found a house where they got 7 or 8 people in the house, all dead. Somebody that came and shot them all in the head. And the reports was that this guy was hanging around the house an hour before the murders happened. And then all of a sudden, he gets recalled on a trumped up charge or whatever, and they bring him back into prison. You know, so what they do is to make sure that you don't see what happened, so they recycle these prisoners. So he did what he was supposed to do. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And then they'll bring another one out to do the thing. Now, when you say, well, wait a minute, what is it? Does the person, because a person went to prison, does it make him a mass murderer? No. This is what happened. Go look, get the movie Demolition Man. Mm-hmm. Look. I got friends. I got people that have reports that at night in prison, they'll be in the bed sleeping, and all of a sudden some people in some white coats will come and get them and take them somewhere, and all they remember is they wake up the next morning. You see what I'm saying? They wake up the next morning. So they basically operating on these prisoners. They'll get these prisoners, take them somewhere, implant them, do what they got to do. They got their profile all down. You see what I'm saying? And the next day, you know, they wake up in the cell the next day. They wake up in the cell the next day, and then they get out and they got a repeated aspect of crime, a rotating aspect of crime, and they're coming out of prison because they're making these, they're implanting them, and they're doing all kinds of things to them.
So in other words, they're creating robots.
They're creating robots.
Now.
Drones.
Now, funny you said that, because a lot of guys that go to jail, black guys, because I've yet to hear a white man say that, but all the black guys go to jail now, they got to give up their DNA now.
Have to give up
as a part of their probation. Part of their probation.
Right, not only that, they say they got 11,000. Anytime they give you a number, mm-hmm. It's always very low. They'll give you this. They say they got 11,000 prisoners that's already implanted with the chip. Mm-hmm. Now, come on. If they got 11,000, that means that all prisoners are implanted with the chip. Mm-hmm. You can go as far as to say that every baby born in a hospital now.
Right.
Is implanted with the chip. As a matter of fact, now.
Yeah, like I said, man, you know, yeah, them implants are something, man, and mm-hmm. something.
Now, not only that, they got it now. They showed on National Geographic Channel. They showed how they got these guys over in the Netherlands, Denmark, and they can go over and they got these clubs, and they can be in the clubs and they can get into the club. They don't have to wait in no line. They got a VIP section they go to, and all the drinks and everything, the food, everything in the club is free for those people who undergo an implant. Now, it's supposed to be a regular dance club or nightclub, but they always put it in something that's harmless, so people go, man, that's neat. And they got these people being implanted, you see what I'm saying, with all their whole history and stuff, just to get in a nightclub. But yet, this is where I got it, where they said that they had implanted in America 11,000 prisoners have been implanted. Mm-hmm. So no, all of them been implanted. I was hearing the stories in the 1990s of the prisoners saying, I wake up at night, these guys come in, they get me out of the cell, they take me somewhere, and the next morning I wake up, I'm back in my cell. That's That's because they were implanted. Why you gotta understand science and understand when they do things on keys. Everything is everything based on codes, keys, clues. When there's a reason why you would have Denzel Washington that would do the old movie over Manchurian Candidate. Mm-hmm. And he was implanted in the movie. Mm-hmm. It is a reason why you would have Will Smith. They give him a movie called Enemy of the State. Mm-hmm. And they tracking him and doing all this kind of stuff here. There's a reason why these black characters get these roles now. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, we about to say Wesley Snipes was he did one.
He did one. Wesley Snipes did one.
He did one as a sniper.
As a sniper.
And the other one he did when they took that poison. I think it was.
Yeah.
I forgot the name of the movie.
Unstoppable.
Unstoppable.
Yeah. So they showing this stuff here, the MK Ultra and the different things that they can do and all, and they implant these prisoners and stuff. So it's no reason. So for them to go and just start killing up the place in Philadelphia, mm-hmm. to try to make a national alert. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Based on fear, then you got to understand it's all induced and manufactured. Now, the other thing that was just given to me by Brother TJ, and I just found this out last night, is this passport application. This is a passport application for you to get your passport.
Yeah, man, this is United States passport.
Passport.
For U.S. citizens.
U.S. citizens. And I want you to read on this part.
What does it say?
What does it say? You know where it is.
All right. Now, this is a United States passport.
And they're saying what on June 1st.
In June. Now, I want you to listen to me, because you got to understand what's getting ready to happen. It says, electronic passport statement. It says the State Department will begin issuing a new type of passport containing an embedded electronic chip called the electronic passport. And this passport will have a chip in it that will be able to track you. It will also be able to put a code next to your name, whether you be on a no-fly list. It will also be able to lock you in or out the country. Now, they said by midsummer, nearly all over the country, these passports will be distributed. So we putting out the word now. If you don't have a passport, go get you a passport. If your passport getting ready to run out, you better go get a new one before they issue that new one. Because Homeland Security has taken over it, and we got the word that if you get that passport, and God help you get it, you will be tracked every move you make. It will be even from state to state. Like when Bobby said, where's your papers? They will give you that same passport.
Well, guess what?
To track you from state to state. You won't be able to go from one state to another.
Not only will they use the passport, most of the black people that they are profiling, they don't want to come into New Jersey. Ain't never been nowhere and ain't trying to get no passport. That's for us. But guess how they gonna use them, tell them people that they can't pass into New Jersey. It ain't gonna be no papers, it's gonna be implants.
Implants.
That's what it's gonna be. And don't say that they can't do it, because they did it with Katrina when they told them people, they did it by shotgun, when they told them people was trying to get out of the hurricane. And literally thousands died because they denied them entry into the other county. Mm-hmm. In the same state.
Same state.
You see what I'm saying? Now, let me give you something while we're on that. I want to give you something on this. Update on the Katrina thing.
Come on with it.
I go to Houston, Texas every year and do a lecture around the 1st of March. Brother named Tony down there in Houston. Now, we know in the Katrina thing that the first thing happened is the Houston, Texas said, bring them all here. And they took the majority of them. The second place ended up being Atlanta, because after they dispersed them, a lot of them, one of the largest outposts for them was actually refugee camps, you want to say. And why do they call them refugees? But one of the largest ones, that's another thing that we got to really study, and there should be some research on every aspect of why did they name them refugees at that particular time. Now, hell, Florida get hit by storms every year, and they ain't never called them no refugees. But Houston, Texas took all these people. And I knew it then. I said, man, they're going to lock them up like crazy. Now, when I was in Houston, the brother Tony broke it down to me on the history of and the status of Texas in the last 15 years. He said about 15 years ago, around the early 90s or the late 80s, Texas economy was shot. They were broke. And he said, and Bush was a part of this too, because Bush was governor. So one of the solutions was that they would put a penitentiary in every county in Texas. So after they put the penitentiary, they hit the big cities: Dallas, Austin,
Fort Worth,
Houston,
Corpus Christi,
El Paso, San Antonio. They hit the big cities, and they got all these urban black men and locked them up, and it became in these penitentiaries in every county, and it sustained the economy.
The new slavery.
Because it was new slavery, and everything that you think of in America is made in prison.
Well, you think about it also, too, you know, they said there's a job shortage, but not in prisons.
But not in prisons.
There's plenty of work.
It's plenty, right.
But it's in the prison.
Right, so they said, no, we got to work out here for the Mexicans, which is cheap labor, and we got to force you to do cheap labor or slave labor, black people, by putting you in prison.
Using crime as a pretext to do it.
Yeah, now, so what happened was, the brother Tony was explaining this to me, was that they can only keep a person that doesn't do, or that does a crime, and it's not a murderous crime. That's not a murderous crime. They can only keep them in prison for about 10 years when you max. Because, you know, even though they might give a person 20 years or stuff like that, you can't keep them for 10 years because you got to realize there's so many people that's being locked up until just for space. So the criteria here is, and plus they don't want to look like, they already got more people locked up than any place around the world.
Right.
So they figure we just lock up everybody and then we'll give, and the maximum amount of time will be 10 years. Even on a real alarming rate of some crime, 10 years is about the most you can keep a person in America.
Except for murder.
Except murder and stuff like that, capital murder, whatever.
Right.
So they're saying, these brothers done been in there. This has been happening since the early 90s. They done been in, we in 2006, so a lot of these brothers are meeting the 10 years. Ones that they kept in there, they got to parole these brothers based on the 10-year radiance. So as a result, when a part of the Katrina thing was, let's get the so-called refugees and bring them to Houston. Now it's interesting here. When I was in Houston, the brother Tony was saying, well, it's already occurred. He said that about the violent crimes, or just crimes, period, just any felony that would be, Houston is a big city, and most of the felonies is being created based on the regular Houston citizens. They say, but the news and all the reports are blaming it on the Katrina people. So even if there was something that was committed by the people in Houston, they blamed it on the Katrina people, and they had a few Katrina people that did do some crimes. They had some robots. They had some group of Katrina people went out some rich area and killed a bunch of white folks. And so what it is, they got these, so everything now is the crime up based on the Katrina people, and they're using the stats of the regular crime, because this is a huge city. They're saying they're attributing every crime in the city to the Katrina people. Thus, means that when they deal with the problem, they're going to start locking these brothers up, and these brothers are going to replenish the prisons. And that's why they told them, come on over here.
Right. In other words, they need to spruce up their economy.
Right.
By locking them down.
By locking so, and they said, so we'll take the worst
you got.
And any scrub that came from what you call, we gonna have them, even if they were just regular, decent people, because most black people ain't thugs and stuff. These are regular black folks. But if your skin is black,
right, and you poor,
that's criminal.
That's criminal in America.
In America. And they're saying if you ain't a criminal, your ass gonna be one in Texas.
That's right.
You see what I'm saying? And so as a result, this is what they're doing based on the economy. You see. Now, another thing they're not telling people is this about this whole Mexican thing. They recently came out and said, okay, now we're going to tell you what's going down with the Mexican thing. They said, number one, two things. One, they said that the Mexicans can't get Social Security because they ain't citizens. They got privileges and a permit to work, which was given to them by Bush. But they say they're not citizens, but they can't get Social Security. But they said, but they take out Social Security. And all that money is going to a couple of billion a year to replenish Social Security. So we talking about a whole slave system. Social Security is saving itself off these Mexicans. That's the first thing. Number two, they know that they talk that shit, and they going to see in a few days when they had that national boycott where they just gonna not go to work, that if they got rid of the Mexicans, that this country would fall overnight, because they have either locked up so many black people or they have killed so many black people. And let's face it, I don't blame black people. I don't want to pick no beans. I would rather, me myself, I would much rather go and stand around a liquor store and get me a drink every day and sit on my ass than to go and pick some beans in the field. Because psychologically, we can't do them jobs now. And even and this is what they said, come off the bullshit, they're doing jobs that both black and white America won't do. So I ain't arguing about this thing here about what's going on. Not only will we not do it, I think psychologically we can't do it.
We've been through that.
And you know what's interesting here? Because they had a guy that came on, a black guy that came on Nightline in 1988. I don't remember, it was a black psychologist on 1988. And it was talking about the plight of black America and the poor. He said, look, he said psychologically, he said we worked for 300 years and didn't get paid nothing. And that shit is in our DNA. And we remember that. That's why sometimes we turn to life of crime and stuff like that type of stuff, you know, because we have been short-circuited, or we have been blown with the aspect of this hard work because we worked for so long. You see what I'm saying? And say, he said psychologically, they can't do it. They can't. And plus you live in the hair, you can't work at McDonald's. You in high school, yeah, but I'm just trying to say. Some things and I understand something that people saying that's not an excuse, but it's the reality of it. Because we didn't come here this way. And we're not a bad people, but you got to understand something. The trauma that has gone on for years. Post-traumatic slave syndrome. So as a result, these are things that occur. You know what I'm saying? Shit. I believe I'd sell some dope before I pick some damn beans. I'm sorry. You see what I'm saying? I understand what's going on, and I'm not justifying the niggas out here killing and selling the dope or whatever, but the point I'm trying to make here is there's a reason for some psychological things that's going on, and we got to understand this post-traumatic slavery syndrome is real.
It's very real. And a
you
lot.
See what I'm saying? You see, and the damn if you're going to get me, and I go and work on a damn roof in that hot-ass sun, for some $5 an hour. I ain't doing it.
And they gonna take a damn near $2.50 in tax.
Right. You see what I'm saying? So the only person suitable for doing that is the Mexican.
Yeah, El Segundo.
Yeah. You see what I'm saying? You see?
Yeah.
So the only person suitable doing that type of stuff, and they ain't complaining and fine. You see? So I'm just saying there's some things with that. But on the other hand, let's look at the spiritual aspect of this thing. This is showing you the ending of America. Because not only black people, and Farrakhan said it one time, if we suffer from post-traumatic slavery syndrome, or what we call black mental illness, and black inferiority, based on what happened, then that means white folks got to suffer from white inferiority, which is a disease also. Because they have been spoiled by the fatted calf also. And we know this now because since 9/11, we have seen some people that are so infallible until even though the country is being taken right out from under them by the power elite, they still don't believe it can happen to them. Because they have been, things have worked in their favor so long psychologically. And the reason why I know, I was listening to Bill Maher on HBO. He was sitting around with a general, the retired general, and two other people, a woman and these columnists. And their whole outlook on life is that America will never fall and that everybody around the world loves us. And we're doing great, and although we got these bumps, it's based on our people's opinion about us. It's a few little bumps. That's the president or whatever, but America will never fall. They project themselves as being in power for the next 1,000 years. You see what I'm saying? And part of that is a psychological conditioning, just as we project ourselves as being lazy and shiftless, and you see what I'm saying, and different things that go on in the stereotypes. In their mind, they believe their rule is forever, even though things are falling apart every day. But it's in the psyche, so they have been conditioned to the point where as they're suffering, you understand what I'm saying, from white superiority. And that's what they said. They said even in the Star Wars, which is coming from mythology, they say your confidence will be your undoing. It's already starting to happen. It's already starting to happen and stuff. With immigration and different things that's going on, they're leaving the black people alone. Their whole concept now is the Mexicans. They think they already done for.
But it's funny though with the Mexicans, and this is off to the side a little bit. But then I'm gonna ask you a question. This will be hypothetical here. Now, if you had to go move some daggone furniture in your house, and you can get you 2 Negroes for 100, and you can get you 4 Mexicans for 100, which one would you do?
I'd do the 4 Mexicans.
That's right.
I know for a fact my brother had to move some stuff from his office. He had to move some furniture. And he went out on Buford Highway, that's in Atlanta, that's where they all live. And he said, I need somebody to move. And he was expecting to get 2 movers. And the man gave him 4. He said, I ain't got but $100. The guy said, no. He said, I ain't got but $100. He said, look, that gets you 4 Mexicans. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
25, 25, 25.
All day.
All day. You see what I'm saying? So the point, so my point is, I understand that concept.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
But what is it though?
Niggas come to cut my yard, I got to give them some soda. Got to give them some water.
Nigga want a sandwich?
A sandwich? Yeah. I swear to God. Brother named Eugene, I'm going to give him a sandwich. And offer the niggas a beer.
And then want some cash.
Then want the cash.
And then want you to give him a ride.
I'm telling you, man, you think we making jokes, this shit is real.
He want a ride.
You see what I'm saying? And then go knock on your door a couple of days later and it ain't got nothing to do with cutting no grass. He want to borrow something else. You see what I'm saying? I had to get that nigga some. I said, well, why you mad at y'all? Want a cold one? You want a brew? They was like, hell yeah.
And then what you turn him into a girl. But look, man, but on the serious side though, man, you know, what is it about these so-called black leaders who supposed to represent so-called melanated people? They can't never just represent the people. They got to always include the Spanish when they do. The blacks and the Spanish. What's up with that, man?
Well, that's the Well, you know, well, that it's you know, well, it's a,
whereas the Spanish don't never include us in nothing.
Right. Yeah.
Ever.
Right.
You don't never hear no Spanish.
Right. When they had this whole national march day the other day, they didn't have the black leaders. They didn't have Al Sharpton and them sitting up there.
Right. All them correlation of black folks.
Right. Exactly. Only they'll include the black leaders when the police start killing them.
But they did have one Negro somewhere that was up there up on the stage, almost like a cheerleader for the Spanish folks.
Yeah.
I forgot who the brother was.
Yeah. Well, see, my point here is this. See, I'm really kind of easy on the thing because you got to based on history.
Right.
Hell, all that west shit was Mexico.
Right.
If you go up and down from the tip of California to the end, to the northern part of California, all the names is Mexican names. That used to be is Spanish names.
No.
Yeah.
No. Your point is well taken, but what I'm saying.
But
what I'm saying, in this day and time, we are the ones that's being attacked. We are the ones that we have been targeted. And
in so many ways they're saying, look, we got us some new niggas.
Right, we got some new Negroes.
And this whole thing, they've been talking about this for years, that the black man was going to be obsolete. Even your boy wrote a book, Single, Dangerous, and Obsolete.
Right.
What's the guy, I can't think of the guy, black author's name. Wrote the book in the 1990s, and literally, this is showing that we're obsolete.
Now, you think about it. Now, let's take New York City. Now, it's been reported that it's almost up to 70% of unemployment of black men in New York.
Yeah. And when I saw the Hispanic community in Atlanta alone, one city had 55,000 Mexicans march. Then they're saying that, and I heard a radio show where they're saying that they done really, when they talk about this border control thing, the government done pulled back and they ain't even checking no borders. They say it's about 1,200 a night coming across the border. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. There's no way if you had border control you would have 1,200 people. It ain't got nothing to do with that. The real thing is the Illuminati said, look, they're abandoning ship. They're global elite. Mm-hmm. And they saying they're getting out of the country. And
not only that, but America has become expendable.
Right. And they saying give it to the Mexicans.
Right.
Basically.
Right. In other words, they saying, the jig is up on America.
Exactly.
Period. Exactly. Now, based on that, you notice Bush goes back and forth, him and Vicente Fox are always having this powwow. Mm-hmm. And I read in the paper just the other day that the Mexican ambassador is now telling the government what they gonna do when it comes to these Spanish folks.
Right.
Because they come and say, they tell them what they gonna do.
But guess what? You know why? Because they, see, here goes again, spoiled by the fatted calf. These white folks is sitting up here, either the government has got them thinking your stuff is secure, but in all honesty, they spoiled by the fatted calf, because all honesty, this shit ain't up but El Segundo. Mm-hmm. It's Mexico. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? Now let me give you another example of some things on how it's time out. Is with this whole Homeland Security and all this stuff here, it's time out for this whole Islam thing.
Oh man, yeah, hey man, look, we gotta talk about that, because see, a lot of people, brothers and sisters, whether it be the Nation of Islam, mm-hmm. whether it be Orthodox Islam, or whether it be the Moors,
yeah,
they don't understand that the European structure and this Judeo-Christian ruled government is at war.
Yeah.
With this here.
And I think the war was declared on them from the Queen of England ever since that Dodi Diana thing. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It's probably earlier, but I'm just trying to say the catalyst of that is one of them arrows was able to get into the royal house. I don't care if she was running around freelancing and make this girl pregnant and they had to kill her. And you got to understand, with them, it's a ritual. Mm-hmm. And they go, well, look, we're going to go to war with all of them. Mm-hmm. And,
well, but see, and that's my point. For instance, instance, you know, I'm a Moor, but I know it's a lot of my Moorish brothers and sisters, when they greet each other, they say Islam Mo.
Right.
Okay? Now that might sound good, but I don't think a lot of them is aware that a lot of stuff is on the ADL website.
And not only that.
And not only
they
that.
don't realize this here about terminology, just like United States versus America.
Right, which is two different things.
Two different things. Let me tell you something. Islam was created
by the Vatican
in 1919. All I know is most of the books that I got from the 1800s on, they call it Mohammedism. Right. Now Walter Williams got a whole book out on this thing and said that this Islam thing didn't come about until 1919, and he said it was a Jewish creation. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Until 19, but I do know this in my stuff because when he said it, he answered a question on why all of the books before 1919 that I have from the late 1800s, they call it Mohammedism. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So we're talking about something that they created as a political system that they could use as a tool over the years.
Right, but see, a lot of folks don't know, especially if you, with these new passports that's coming out, and you want to travel, and you got the wrong national, you got certain stuff on your application that raises a flag, then you become a target under the new domestic terrorism laws now.
Not only that, I knew this. The December after 9/11, living in this country for years, never heard that they don't even utter the word Moor on TV. Never heard Moor in the history books, only but based on the black perspective. In December 2001, the Atlanta Journal and Constitution had a whole Sunday paper article, color article, on the Moors from Spain. Mm-hmm. And they re-emphasized this and they reiterated over and over again the Islamic aspect of the Moors. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Basically, you would think that this was nothing but a branch of Al-Qaeda or Hamas.
Yeah.
Because they reiterated it. I'm like, wait a minute, see, and they do these things to get people up to speed. So in their mind, they're thinking this. They look at the Moors as the same Islamic sect.
As some terrorist organization.
As a terrorist organization. Mm-hmm. Now it's interesting here because when they had the DC snipers, they had CNN was talking to somebody and they was saying, isn't it interesting that we have Islamic sects in America that has been here for years. In so many words, he was not talking about the Arab immigrants. And he said, isn't it interesting, because it's talking about the DC sniper, and he said, isn't it interesting that we have these black Islamic sects? Now we know that the Nation of Islam is different than Arab Islamic society as a hog from the moon. You see what I'm saying? But they can lump it as this orthodox nationalism. You see? And so, as a result, they already were setting the stage. Now, the number one thing on the terrorist list now is the Moors. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, you know, and see, especially now, even when a lot of these Moors, they go to court, they're already waiting on you. Because being Islamic or any other religion don't have nothing to do whatsoever in a criminal defense. Or even a civil defense. But a lot of Moors going into these courtrooms, using these laws that they're using, and they really going with bits and pieces of stuff.
Right.
Uncompleted, and a lot of them going in the name of the Prophet Noble Drew Ali.
Right.
See, they're using this as a pretext Well, look, it's obvious a lot of them have not written and did the studies on how that white boy feel about that whole situation there. Mm-hmm. And as a result, a lot of them are getting locked down big time for this.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Now, a lot of other people who are so-called unconscious Moors would be very, very interested in getting a nationality. But the fact that they have made it a criteria that you got to be Islamic to be a Moor.
Right.
Now, to me, that's the craziest stuff I've ever heard in my life.
It's an oxymoron because Islam only existed since the 6th century A.D.
Right.
And they say that the Moors have been around since the beginning of time.
The Moors were, they always was.
They claim that they're the ancient Egyptians, they claim that they're ancient Atlanteans, they claim that every ancient civilization on the planet was Moorish.
Right.
Now, like John Henry Clark said, hell, half of human history was over before we even knew it was a white man. Mm-hmm. Let alone Islam.
Right.
The point I'm trying to make here, you can't have it two ways. You can't have something under the banner of Muhammad in the 6th century A.D., which is over. Hell, Jesus and the whole Christian cult thing had already done come through. You see what I'm saying? And you gonna tell me that to be a Moor, you got to be Islamic, and Islam wasn't even around when you say that you Lord of the earth and
right
and
of the earth,
and you've been around since the beginning of time. So it's you see, it's some schizophrenia going on here. You can't be one or the other.
Right.
You can't be the beginning and then be the
late bloomer.
Late bloomer. So my point here is, so you got these people and stuff like that, but then again, on the other hand, you got to understand this too, because I already know this too. There's infiltration in the Moors.
In the Moors, the same way they did the Nation of Islam.
In Nation of Islam. They got people that's there that infiltrate. Let me give you an example about when we first started knowing about the UCC and different things like that, and the right way law and the different things. Now, this stuff has been around for years. Mm-hmm. But, isn't it interesting, in 1993, when we was introduced to this by the Empress Vertice, in order for us to learn about it, the Moors took a group of people to Alabama to learn, and it was in a class full of white Klansmen, later on known as the militia. The point I'm trying to make here was they connected them with the same militia that the Timothy McVeigh thing later on came about.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And later on, was a part of the terrorism thing.
Right, Branch Davidians and all them people.
Branch Davidians and all that. Now this was, they didn't go to have these classes in the northern aspect of the Michigan militia. They was going at a conference and some thing in Alabama to have these classes with these people from Alabama, Texas, and the southern part of the United States, which is the Branch Davidians and Timothy McVeigh and all of that type of stuff. So my point here is that they have already had agents in the Moors Science Temple. You see what I'm saying? Already trying to connect the dots to put this thing at a level of vulnerability, or a level of
disinformation and discord.
Right. So that they can have what they have now to trap you.
Right, because for those who don't know, go to the ADL website, and it's called Extremism in America. And on that website, they got listed organizations that they consider to be terrorist organizations, and they now got the Moors named amongst that list now.
Now I'm going to drop some other stuff on you. Now, I tell the people, if you're going to deal with the UCC, because we know that they got people dealing with this thing, first of all, when you deal with things, you need to be solo. And solo means you and one or two people that you're dealing with this thing. But
no groups.
No groups.
Whatsoever.
And not only that too, if you're not going to, and then another thing about this, if you're not gonna devote extreme study and accuracy to this thing, get out of it.
Because it's like a two-edged sword that will cut your head off.
Right. Get out of it.
Period.
Now I say that for this particular reason here too. Not because of the UCC, but this. They've already got laws out here to trap people that's related to that and any other thing, and it's all based on this whole Moorish thing. Let me give you an example. What happened here? And it's all under this banner of the Moors. Now let me tell you what happened. They had a sister down in
South Carolina.
Yeah, North Carolina. She was in Charlotte.
Okay, right.
South Carolina. And for 3 years, the IRS, for 3 years, the IRS gave them money. The point I'm trying to make here is you can't trick the IRS in giving you no money. If the IRS don't want to give you no money, they're not going to give you no money. These are not idiots who just give you money based on you sign some documents. Mm-hmm. It was a setup. Right. So this is the mystery. For 3 years, they gave this sister money.
Using the 1041 form.
1041 form, mm-hmm. And people started getting money back.
Big money.
The whole time they were setting her up. Mm-hmm. Then they lowered the boom on her, sent her to jail, convicted her, had under $1 million bond, convicted her, and then all of a sudden, after they convicted her, I want to know what black person they convict you and then they tell you, go home. She walking around now, she's convicted. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. They sentenced her, whatever it was, and then they tell her you can go home now. The key here is they, in order for them to have laws against what they call fraud, mm-hmm. In order to do that, you got to have a case against it. Mm-hmm. You see, they got what they wanted. Mm-hmm. They got what they wanted because they just needed the case for the fraud. You see what I'm saying? They just needed the case for the fraud. They didn't need to lock her up. They had, in so many words, she was acting on their behalf and didn't know it. So inadvertently, she was an agent for them, although they set her up and she didn't have anything to do with it. Right. The point I'm trying to make here was, it was a job well done. So now they got certain laws. And these laws that they got are to entrap Moors and subversive organizations, especially under Islam. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So, you know, I thought government policy, if they get a black person on something, you go into jail. No, she was under house arrest for a little while, and then all of a sudden, when they really convicted her, now she's out. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. The point, and so they, because like I said, they already got what they wanted. So my point here is they're setting up these laws to trap people, and it's and the focus is the Moors and Islam. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? And since the Moors are stupid enough to equate the two, mm-hmm. You see, they get trapped with that.
Well, see, you know, it's funny because, you know, when I'm seeing a trend that to me I think is dangerous, because you have a lot of people who come up under the Moorish banner, but they're nothing more than followers of a pseudo-religious paradigm. Right. Okay, so a lot of folks come out of the church worshiping Jesus. Mm-hmm. They come in the temple and then they worship Noble Drew Ali. Now, don't get me wrong. Noble Drew Ali was one great man and did what he did at a time for people who had no direction, exactly. Who were ignorant.
No different than Elijah Muhammad.
Right.
But they came at a time when we didn't have what we have now.
Right.
The option to go and to know the truth.
Right.
Just by going to a bookstore. Well, we was in damn segregation when these brothers here did this stuff. He did it 70 years ago.
1928, 29.
And Elijah Muhammad did it in 1931.
Right.
They was hanging black people at this time. That's all we have. But my point I'm trying to make here is,
you can't live there.
Don't necessarily mean that, and I'm not saying that some of the teachings don't deserve them placed in a canon of knowledge that we can use. Exactly. But for you to follow a man that died in the 1920s,
right?
You see what I'm saying, about the early 1930s, is ludicrous because our situation has changed.
And we are
since the 1960s, let alone the 30s.
Right, but in other words, we are much more advanced than we was then. So so that cannot be a paradigm.
It can't be a paradigm
for what you're doing now. Now you can use it as a stepping stone. You can use it as a reference.
And a reference, and you can use it as partial increments of knowledge and information that is still valid today.
Right, but
not the system.
Right, in other words, because you hear a lot of more, they say, well, the prophet said, don't do this, and the prophet say, don't do that. And I'm like, wait a minute.
First of all, and it's true with this and the Nation of Islam, mostly when the followers say the prophet said that, 90% of the time he didn't say that. A lot of this stuff was added in years later. Hell, the man, you know what I'm saying? Most of the people that was around him at that particular time died.
Well, look, but let's
dead.
Well, let's get this straight. He wasn't the first nor the last prophet. Explain what the word prophet means in the first place, so that people understand what the word prophet means.
Well, ultimately, it just means teacher.
Teacher.
You see what I'm saying? You have many prophets.
Many.
You see what I'm saying? But no, they're trying to deify him now.
Right.
And this is a new thing, because I didn't hear this in most of the 90s. They would call him Robert Drew Ali, but all of a sudden now, they're trying to deify him. And I'm not saying that he don't supposed to take his place as all our other black leaders, but the point I'm trying to make here is...
he is not the ultimate litmus test for where we need to be as a people.
He wasn't the ultimate litmus test for where he needed to be when he was living, because they killed him.
Right.
Now, I'm not necessarily saying there wasn't some stuff that was valid, but the point I'm trying to make here is the mere fact that they murdered the man. You see what I'm saying? The point I'm trying to make here means that it was something that wasn't supposed to be the ultimate reality. It was something to help you out at the particular time and help you out years to come. But we talking about close to 70 years now.
Right.
Even the whole even America itself is completely changed.
That's right, because we showed the picture of the DNA, the white man, the black woman, and vice versa. But 70 years ago, that was unheard of.
Yeah, right.
So to use an old paradigm for a new day paradigm, there's a problem with that.
Right.
There's a problem with that. So what I'm saying, that's why even now when I look at the Moorish community, you get these different sects now. Moors. It's just so scattered, man.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. I think it's not only just, I don't want to single out the Moors. I think it's just the divisiveness with all of these conscious groups. I think there's a divisiveness with all of these conscious groups. And in this particular aspect with us is we need to use everything, but we don't need to declare ourselves only this and only that. Now let me give you an example. We need to all be in a form of research. I got some reports from Indiana, people asking the question, what is up with Bobby? He used to deal with Egypt. What is up with Bobby dealing with all this East Indian stuff? I said, precisely what you said. I used to deal with Egypt. I taught on Egypt for almost 10 years. For almost 14 years. I'm still teaching on Egypt. I said, but the point about it here is, one thing has been proven. This entire earth had one dominant people. You can't find it with no other race, but you best believe you can't find the white man origin in Asia. You can't find certain people in the Americas. But one thing is we know for a fact that the black man and the black woman was all over this entire earth. So we got conscious group of people that agree that we were the rulers of the entire earth, but yet, if I go to China and start reviewing submissions from China, you going, what's up with you? Why you ain't in Egypt? And that's the point what I'm trying to make here is, if you are a researcher and you true to the game, it means that your research will lead you all over the globe. When I told them, I'm saying not only India, I said, I'm going farther east. I said, I'm going on into China. I'm going to the Pacific realm. And I say, so, and as a result, the lecture I'm going to do tomorrow, a lot of the stuff that's being revealed is going to be on Kuan Yin and terror in Tibet. You see, and terror in Tibet. We even got a word, and you said, what does this got to do with it? With research go on, and we find out that the root word to terrorism is the goddess Terra.
That's deep.
You see what I'm saying? We're going to go into some of that tomorrow, and I'll explain